I've got my red robe on, so let's review. I've got my red robe on, so let's review. I've got my red robe on, I'm gonna say who's right or wrong. I've got my red robe on, I've got my red robe on, I've got my red robe on, so let's review. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you, YouTube, for this wonderful platform. Any other platform that this reached, I'm so grateful for you. It's your boy D. To some, that's Diesel. To some, that's Dwayne. And to the family, that's the D. That's only for the family. Again, welcome to the Red Robe Review, where I review and discuss anything that pretty much resonates with me. So, I wanted to come and talk about something that is really, really wavering in my heart, and that is what is really going on with our heterosexual community and their dysfunction. Why is it that heterosexual men and women are still having some of the struggles that we have elevated to the point where we have the tools and the resources to resolve them, but yet these struggles are still happening? Why are these dysfunctionings still happening amongst our heterosexual community? Why do we now have so many heterosexual men and so many heterosexual women that do not want to be in relation with each other, that do not want to be in long-term relationships or even dare I say marriages, but why is that the case of now? Is it because heterosexual men and women are reaching a space of high earning to the point where you can function pretty much as a single individual? Or is it really just the fact that a lot of heterosexual people pretend to be monogamous when they really are polyamorous? Or, is it really the fact that a lot of heterosexual people aren't as heterosexual as they think they are? I don't know about you, but I think that I can understand a lot of dysfunction amongst gay folks, bisexual folks, and people that have alternative lifestyle simply because when you're gay or when you're bisexual or when you're anything other than heterosexual, you don't have a sense of being raised from childhood through adolescence through adulthood with your love and your affection and your romantic attraction being validated. So greatly understand where the discourse or the disconnect comes with a lot of bisexual people, a lot of gay people, a lot of alternative lifestyle people. But for heterosexual people, I'm really not understanding where the disconnect and where the discourse and where the disdain for each other is coming from. Why do we have so many heterosexual men and women that are proud of the fact that they don't want to be married or they're not aspiring to be married, um, or even in long-term serious relationships? I just don't know what's going on in the world and what we're going to be able to do to kind of change or redirect what's going on in the world. But I think it is definitely worth discussing. Again, part of my belief is that because people are now able to earn so much as a single individual, that they just do not have the patience, the diligence, or the wherewithal to deal with any kind of backlash or resistance or any of it not going their way in those relationships. So they just choose to be single as a form of, I don't want to argue, I don't want to fuss, I don't want to fight, I don't want to explain myself to anybody. I just don't really even want to deal because of the fact that I don't have to. I don't need you to help me with my finances. I don't need you to help me with my cooking and cleaning. I don't need you to help me with my shopping. I just don't really need you that way anymore. So therefore, I just don't want to deal with you. And I think that that goes both ways with both genders. Again, this is for my heterosexual people, so I'm not going to too much try to get into the alternative lifestyle people and what they're dysfunctional of because, again, as I explained in the beginning of this video, due to the fact that they don't have adolescence and they don't have childhood to validate their affections and their romantic connections, I can understand why once they get to adulthood, they're dysfunctional. But I do not understand why people who have had childhood, adolescence, and adulthood to validate their romantic affections, why are you now in adulthood and you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s and you're still dysfunctional? I don't understand it. Again, one could be the economic that a single person can bring in. Another could be the fact that people are just selfish and people feel as if they don't need anyone really. Um, but I personally think that a lot of these people may not recognize that they just may not be as heterosexual as they say that they are. I don't care how mature you are as an individual, how conservative you may be, how emotionally intelligent you may be. That has nothing to do with your natural human attraction and your natural human desire for someone. So if you are a woman, even if you are very, very high on the emotional intelligence, an attractive man, the presence of an attractive man should do something to your insides. It should inspire you, it should motivate you, it should make you tingle a bit. Even if you are mature enough not to act upon those feelings, but it still should spark some kind of feeling for you to make you feel like, I want to have some type of interaction or some type of moment with that. And of course, the same should say for heterosexual men, especially for men, because we are supposed to be hunters in all actuality. So when a gorgeous woman, is in your presence, for you to not be able to appreciate that, take advantage of that, want to nurture that, want to conquer that, want to, be involved in that in some way as a heterosexual man, I really truly just don't understand. I don't get it. And I can get through out your 20s and early 30s, exploring, being, sowing your wild oats, if you will, as a man or a woman, and just not really wanting to be tied down in that way. But again, after you get to your mid to late 30s and beyond that, there's no excuse at this point. You're just not understanding the privilege that you have, the purpose that you have, and I really am starting to think that a lot of you all that are 35 plus, that are heterosexual and proud and happy to be single, maybe a lot of you all are just not satisfied within heterosexuality. Maybe a lot of you all are looking for something that is just not there. It amazes me how many women and men that are high earning in today that can buy any and everything that they want, but they can't maintain a healthy relationship. And it's really, really sad because you heterosexual people are responsible for giving birth to the nation. You're responsible for giving birth to everybody from giving birth to gay people, giving birth to straight people, giving birth to bisexual. Like, if without the heterosexual interaction of it all, there is no reproduction of life. So, if you all don't begin to kind of mend this and get along a little bit better, what does that say for our future? And this conversation definitely excels beyond racial demographics. This is not just directly to my race. It goes in the Latin community, the Indian community, the Asian community, the white community. What is up with people that are heterosexual and wanting and desiring to be single? What is up with men wanting to have children but yet don't want not wanting to be married and form valuable houses for these children to grow up with. And women the same. What is up with all these women wanting to have and create babies, but not have a male figure involved? I'm just not understanding. Like, I just don't get it. And to me, it just further leads me to believe that maybe, again, a lot of you all are just not as heterosexual as you're portraying yourselves to be. And maybe an alternative lifestyle is really, truly what you're seeking. Because again, if you are a woman that likes men, being able to be with a good man should be your ultimate goal. And if you're a man that likes women, being able to be with a good woman should be your goal. And again, to people that are 35 and under, like I said, that is your time to explore yourself and to discover whether you like being promiscuous or this, that, and the third. But people that are 35 and plus, again, you should kind of be figuring it out by now. And again, a man 35 and plus, if you know for a fact that you want to entertain or be with more than one woman, again, you should be man enough to let whatever woman comes into your life know that. And there are plenty of women out there that are okay with that, and women out there that want to deal with more than one man that are 35 plus. There are plenty of men, heterosexual men, that out there that are a bit open to that as well. Um, Not to call anyone out, but again, one of the things that I can say about Dr. Umar Johnson, he was very, very vocal about the fact that he has two queens that he wishes to settle with. And again, because he puts that out there and he puts that on the table with the women that he's interacting with, I think that he definitely will be able to get that kind of dynamic because again, he's leading with the fact that he does not exclusively want to be with one woman. So is it that a lot of you heterosexual people just exclusively don't want to be with one person and you don't know how to say that? Or is it that heterosexuality is just not fulfilling you in the way that you want everyone to believe? Because I just, for the life of me, do not get it. I do not understand it. And maybe it's not for me to understand, but I would love for somebody to help me understand because at the end of the day, without heterosexual peace and correlation, life will not be existing. It just simply won't. And do not try to rebuttal me with the alternative lifestyle people can reproduce because I get that. That's a given. But on the majority, in the majority, it takes heterosexual interaction and correlations in order to produce life. And not only to produce life, but in order to raise a healthy life and a stable life, it takes masculine, feminine, heterosexual interactions, or it takes the getting along of a heterosexual man and the heterosexual woman to bring forth the vision of whatever your child or offspring may be. So it is completely puzzling to me that heterosexual people are at such a high level of dysfunction in this day and time. And maybe it's the technology. I definitely won't discount that. Maybe again, it's the fact that single people are able to earn a lot more. But a lot of people complain about the housing market and how hard it is to pay rent and how hard it is to pay a mortgage or this, that, and the third. But the reality of the situation is, if we look at our history, a lot of those a lot of people in our history grew up in multi-generational households, which means they were not single households. So, of course, it's not as difficult to maintain a mortgage and the household bills, this, that, and the third, when you have multi generations that are in a house that are contributing to these funds and these expenses versus when it is just a single individual trying to do everything. If that single individual that's trying to do everything loses their job or has to run through their savings, then everything at that point will pretty much fall apart. So I really want to understand what is going on. Why is there so much dysfunction amongst our heterosexual community? And again, what can we do to improve this? Is it the fact that we have to be a little bit more strict about the gender roles? Is it that we have to be more lenient about the gender roles because of the times that we're living in? Is it that we have to just simply be more nice and more gracious towards each other within the heterosexual community? I do not know. But what I do know is I need for my heterosexual man and heterosexual woman to figure out why the dysfunction is there, because without you, there is no future. Till next time, Red Robe Review.